Well, good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Lori Oldham from the Office of Student Affairs, and I want to welcome you to our final part of our four-part workshop series with our community partner, Cal Coast, and the wonderful folks there that in the honor of Financial Literacy Month, they have designed some workshops just for you all. And I know that you're going to be able to take lots of great information away. And without further ado, I'd just love to introduce my partner over here, Josh Antis. And I'll let you, please, if you'd introduce yourself and what you do at Cal Coast, please, Josh. Thank you.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And thank you, Laura, of course, for having us once again for this final part of the four-part series. My name is Josh Antis. I'm in the Community Relations Department at Cal Coast. My title is Financial Education and Community Partnerships Manager. And so Cal Coast, a little bit about what we do. We're not-for-profit. We are people helping people, and we are out to help people be financially well. So we do a lot of financial education, and that's what brings us here. We have a great partnership with City College. We've done some things in the past. I think this is the first time we've done a four-part series, which is really exciting. So we'll have to do this a lot more. But so it's great to be here. Just want to mention a couple of things. Please make sure to check out our website at calcoastcu.org. We have a lot of great financial wellness resources there available for you that are completely free. We have a wellness platform. We have videos on YouTube you can watch. We even have people like Tara Lynn, who I will introduce in just a minute, that can help you, individually one-on-one to help you to build a budget or establish credit or improve your credit or get out of debt, whatever you're looking to do, we can help you out. So contact us, go to a branch, go online at calcoastcu.org. Call us, hit us up on social media. We're responsible on social media as well. If you're not a member of Cal Coast yet, to become a member, all you have to do is open a checking and savings. It's free. And we actually have a promotion for City College students and faculty and staff who are interested. We'll actually pay you $100 to become a member. So contact us if you're interested, and we want to help you out. So with that, I'll go ahead and introduce our speaker today. This is Tara Lynn Rose. She's my partner in crime here. She's the financial coaching department manager for Cal Coast. She's been with the credit union for a long time. She'll tell you a little bit about how she was her first client. And so I'll turn it over to Tara Lynn and she'll kick us off.
Thank you so much, Josh. Tara Lynn Rose. I am the manager of our financial fitness and coaching team. And like Josh said, we started doing this service about 14 years ago, and I absolutely was the first client. I owed about $46,000 in credit card debt. No money in my savings, no clue how to manage my money, no clue about how much I was paying in interest. So I'm really excited to share the information with you guys today. We're talking about student loans. We're going to pull this up on the screen for you. How to pay student loans, a little bit of understanding of the options that are out there. And we're going to kind of go over into the 4 different steps that we have, knowing your details, knowing your options, setting up the plan, and then sticking to your plan to help you reach your financial goals, whatever they may be. So the first thing we're going to have you do is write down the details. This is a really important thing just to start. What is your starting point? What do you own? People don't realize sometimes that, they're paying one amount to the student loans, but you actually get a loan every single quarter. So you have $4,300 and $2,600 and $2,800 and all these different loan amounts. Could be different interest rates, could be different minimum payments. So I do want you to go in and really write down the details. We have a handout that I can share with you that will write down how much do you owe on each loan. So I'm going to quick share this on the screen with you guys. This is the creditor list. You write down the name, the balance, the rate, the amount that you owe. Is it subsidized or unsubsidized? Because all of this information is going to help us make an educated decision about how we want to handle that student loan debt. So we're going to go on to the next screen over here for you guys. Sorry about this. There we go. I want to talk a little bit about this term unsubsidized loans, because this is really important for people to understand whether the loan is subsidized or unsubsidized. You get all these loans each semester, and you might get ones that are subsidized by the federal government where they are paying the interest for you while you're in school. And then when you graduate, you've got about 6 months of no payments, and then you start making payments and the interest starts accruing. But if you've reached all the amounts that you can get that are subsidized, then they have the unsubsidized loans. You can still get money, but now interest starts accruing as soon as you take the loan. As soon as they disperse the funds to you, you have to start paying interest. It starts adding up. And if you aren't paying attention, you see this compound interest where the dividends, the interest that gets owed is added to the loan balance every single month. This is a very simple projection for you to kind of show you the first month I owe 1,000, I'm paying 10%. It's $100 in interest that gets added to the second month. Now I have $1,100. Multiply times that 10%. Now I owe interest of 110. That gets added, and you can see how quickly it gets added. This is where people get into trouble. I've seen people who have borrowed $30,000, deferred forbearance, haven't made payments, and at the end of 10 years, they now owe $90,000. $30,000 borrowed and owe $90,000. I've seen people just recently borrowed $30,000, had been in forbearance, interest kept accruing, and then when they consolidated, all that interest got added, they now owe $70,000. So I want us being really conscious of which loan is subsidized and which isn't, so that we can see which one we need to go after first. Now I'm going to go over really quick some of the options. This is changing constantly. There have been a lot of changes in the past year. There's going to be more changes coming up. This is a really big focus of the federal government right now. So I want you to just, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about these options, but there are a lot of different ways to repay that loan that you're getting. So I want to talk about the standard repayment. Is you have a fixed amount, you pay it back within 10 years, and you're done. So you have a set amount, the amount doesn't change, it's always the same amount. I just want you being aware of what kind of loan that you have, standard repayment. Now, sometimes when you graduate, you don't have a job that can really afford that $300, $400 payment. So we go into some of the other options that are available for you. The graduated repayment, it's still a 10-year term, but you start off with a lower amount in the beginning when you graduate, and then it goes every 2 years, they can redo that. So this is a really good option for you if you have a job where you know that you're going to be able to progress, you're going to earn more money and get those raises, and I can add a little bit more. You just have to be really careful with these types of loans where in the beginning you have a smaller amount that you have to repay, because sometimes that interest that's being added every month is higher than the amount of your minimum repayment. So your payment is not paying off even the interest that's being added every month, and your balance can actually go up. So it's really important that you know how much interest is accruing every single month on all of your loans, so that if you can at least make the payment that's going to pay off the interest. And if you do $10 more to get that balance going down, that's better. But you have to be really careful with these graduated repayments, that first initial payment might be less than the actual amount you need to pay that loan down. There's the extended repayment where it can be fixed or graduated, and you have 25 years to pay this loan off. Now, that sounds really attractive when you first graduate and you have a lower minimum payment in the beginning. However, again, you have to make sure that at least you're covering the interest that's accruing, because you can see that the balance could still go up, especially if you're on the graduated repayment. But it's also, you're going to pay a lot more interest over that term. So if you want to really pay these loans off more quickly to pay less interest and get that money working for you instead of the federal government, this might not be the best option for you. You want to kind of attack that debt and get it paid off within 10 years. Then there's pay as you earn. So this is your monthly payments are going to be set up, and they're going to be 10% of your discretionary income. They recalculate it every year. One of the things that we have to know is that some of these loan types that they get, revised pay as you earn, again, 10, and then after a set amount of time, they'll forgive the amount. This is really awesome if you borrowed, $80,000 and you don't want to just get on this minimum payment 10%, and then at the end of 10 years or 20 years, they forgive the rest of the amount that you owe. Something that people don't know is that when there is forgiven debt, so there's a lot of talk right now about forgiving debt, about not having to pay back what you borrowed. And there are some options that are going on right now for people who have gone into loans with maybe schools that participated in fraudulent activity. Those have been forgiven. So there are some loans that are being forgiven right now. And right now they're saying you don't have to pay taxes on that forgiven amount. But on these accounts where it's pay as you earn, income based, we'll go into that one. If they forgive an amount after 20, 25 years, typically that amount that's forgiven is going to be added to your income. And at the end of the year, you're going to have to pay taxes on that forgiven amount, whatever your tax bracket is. So you want to make sure that when you're going into these pay as you earn, that you're aware that forgiven debt, typically any amount that's forgiven will be added and you will have to pay taxes on that dollar amount. So just something to keep in mind. So this is the income-based repayment plan. This is the other one where monthly payments are either 10% or 15% recalculated each year. Again, that note, you may have to pay income tax on that dollar amount. So that's kind of important information to know. This will be something you want to go into if you want to go into the public service forgiveness loan, which I'm going to talk about this one here. This one has been really, really hard. A lot of people go into these nonprofits or these other AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, that you go into these thinking that, okay, they're going to forgive my loans. I'm going to pay an amount, the income based or the smaller amount graduated, and then they'll forgive it after a certain amount of time, which is really awesome. But they've made the requirements on this so strict, and it's only certain payments and it's only certain jobs, and it's, teacher loan forgiveness, qualifying employees, you have to apply every year. Certain payments don't count. There's been a lot of, caveats on here where it hasn't been very successful for a lot of people going into these public service loan jobs. There have been some changes as of October that you can now receive credit for payments while you're in deferment, while you're in COVID. So one of the great things they do with student loans is they said, okay, you don't have to pay payments. We're not going to charge you any interest. And then they keep pushing that out. Now it's the end of September. We'll have to start making those payments again. But the public service loan forgiveness, they've made it a little bit easier. If you haven't qualified before, I would say go ahead and sign up for this again, apply and see what happens. If you're in a job that the employer does the public service loan forgiveness, just ask about it, talk to your talk to your student loan people and see if there's something that maybe you can qualify for. Just see what you can. So I want you to make sure that you're taking every advantage that you can for this public service loan forgiveness if you qualify. Lots of new changes. I want you to understand what they are. I'll send this PowerPoint out to anybody, and there's going to be some links in there where you can talk to someone. So I have this big list on here of the normal public service loan forgiveness and some of the changes. Certain loans now count, certain repayments, whether payment was late, now count. Payments on loans before consolidation count, even if it was less than the amount that was due. So all of your payments are now counting, whereas before it had to be the full payment. Lots and lots of changes. So I want to make sure that you reach out to your student loan company and see if there's something you have to apply for it. See if you can qualify for it. Okay, so lots of changes there. One of the things I want to talk about is consolidation. This is something I get people come in all the time and like, oh, I'm going to consolidate because it's one payment. I don't have to worry about it. There's a lot of pros and a lot of cons. Personally, I am not a fan of consolidating because what they'll do is they'll take all of your loans and they'll average out the rates that you have. So you're not going to really save in the interest. And you're just going to get one payment. The amount stays the same the entire time. Whereas if you go into leaving the loans as they are, there's something called PowerPay, which is really, really powerful. And there's a website, powerpay.org. If you go in there and put in the minimum amount of your loan, the minimum interest rate, and the minimum payment, and you say, okay, how long is it going to take me? Normally 10 years. Where you can do this PowerPay where I attack the highest interest rate loan first. This is where writing all that information down is going to be helpful. I'm going to go after the highest interest rate with the lowest balance, pay that off, then take that minimum payment and add it to the next one on the list and start paying them the extra, pay that off and go to the next one. This is called the PowerPay. And so if I do that, I can pay off these loans a lot faster because I'm attacking the high interest rate ones first and then doubling up on the payments. So, the $46,000 in credit card debt that I owed in the beginning, it said, when I put it into PowerPay, it's going to take me 10 years and 7 months to pay it all off. I was at 26% interest. With a PowerPay, just leaving the interest rates as they were, and by attacking them one at a time, I could get that debt completely paid off in 3 years and 5 months. And that's on $46,000 in credit card debt at high interest rates, right? So student loans, you have smaller loan amounts and smaller interest rates. So I could actually get that debt paid off a lot faster if I use that Power Pay method. And also when you consolidate, especially if you go to a private loan provider, they may not offer all of the benefits that you might get when it's with the federal service, right? So all these 0% and no payments that I've had for the past 2 years, if I have a private student loan, I wouldn't have qualified for that. I would have continued making the student loan payments, and I might not qualify for the income base, and I might not qualify for the public service loan because I'm not making those payments to the correct company, right? So pros and cons, it is easier to manage one loan. You might have a lower payment, and then you can go to a private service loan and get it lower interest rate and lower payment. However, you do typically have a one loan and you don't get those options and paying it off faster, and you lose the federal loan benefits. So not a fan of the consolidation. It's out there. There are private companies. SoFi, Wells Fargo, they actually do all that stuff for you. But I would definitely talk to your service provider first and see what options are available if you're struggling with that payment. So I want to talk a little bit about forbearance or deferment. There's all these options that are available when you come out. Maybe you didn't get that job in 6 months that you were looking for, that you went to school and studied so hard for. So you go in and like, okay, I want to talk about forbearance, and they'll allow you to do that. They'll pause or reduce your payments for a limited time, but interest does continue to accrue. So if you're not making any payments and you've got $100 in interest being added every month, at the end of that forbearance, you're going to owe a lot more than what you started with. The deferment, if you can qualify for that, that's where you don't have to make your payments for a limited time and no interest accrues. So if you're going to apply for either deferment or forbearance, go for the deferment, because that way no interest is accruing. The balance just carries through that deferment period. At the end of the deferment period, you owe what you started with. And now you can start making, the interest starts accruing and you start making those payments. So if at all possible, you want to apply for that deferment. Okay. That's a part of the CARES Act, is they deferred and they changed the student loan rates to 0%, which is really nice. Help people get through that tough time. Now I want to talk a little bit about compound interest. And if you can, while you're in school, you're going to notice, if interest is being added to those unsubsidized loans because the balance goes up. These actually does show up on the credit report. So it does impact your credit, and balances and loan types are a part of your credit score. So if you take a look at your student loans and your balance is higher than what was loaned to you, this is an unsubsidized loan, and interest is accruing every single month. So if you can, while you're in school on all of your unsubsidized loans, try to pay off at least the interest that's accruing. If you can do a little bit more and owe less when you graduate, when interest starts accruing even more on all of your loans, that would be great. The other thing I want to talk about is if you only need $2,000 for school. They give you $4,800 a semester and you only need $2,000 for your units and your books and everything else, and everything's covered with $2,000. Don't keep the $2,800 if you don't need it. Send it back so that when you graduate, you don't have to pay back $4,800. If you only need $2,000, only borrow $2,000, send the rest back. I've seen over and over, people will take the full $4,800, only need $2,000, and they take the $2,800 and go to Tahiti. They go to Ireland and they have a great time, and then they graduate and they have to start paying that debt back. So if you don't need it, don't take it. I didn't even realize that I didn't have to take it, that I could send the rest back and make that payment back to that loan right off the bat, especially on the unsubsidized loans, because interest is accruing on the balance. If I go from $4,800 down to $2,000, I'm not going to owe as much interest. This is something I wish I had known when I took my student loans out, okay? So if you can pay interest while you're in school, pay off the interest on the unsubsidized loans. When you graduate, if you do have an income-based repayment plan or a graduated repayment plan where you owe less than the interest that's accruing, look at that interest and at least try to make the interest plus 20 so that we can start reducing that balance that you owe. Even though your minimum payment might only be $15, if you can do the interest of $100 plus 10, let's do that so that at least the balance doesn't go up. I've seen that over and over, that the minimum payment doesn't cover the interest that's accruing. We want to make sure that you're paying that off at least, so I don't end up owing $90,000 on the $30,000 that I borrowed. If you can pay more than the minimum, all of that extra will go strictly towards reducing that balance. So if my minimum payment is 100 and I pay 120, that other $20 is going to go towards reducing my principal balance. I'm going to pay that debt off faster. Next month, I'm going to owe less interest because less interest is accruing. It's only accruing on the balance. So if I can pay more than the minimum, do it. If I can pay more than the interest that's accruing, please don't pay less than the interest that's accruing if you can, okay? Step 3 is creating my plan. So if you have a positive cash flow, I go onto that powerpay.org and I'm going to attack the highest interest rate loan first. Doesn't matter the balance, doesn't matter the minimum payment, attack the highest interest rate, because next month, if I'm paying 6.9 on one loan and 4.6 on another, if I attack the 6.9 next month, I'm not losing 6.9%. And I can make my money work harder for me. So that powerpay.org is very helpful. It actually puts it in order for you by interest rate, and you can see how it can help you. You can also go in and reorder it to say, okay, I'm going to pay the one with the smallest balance first, and it will tell you how much interest you're going to pay over that time frame. And you can compare and see which is better. Now, financially, if I've got a positive cash flow, paying off that high interest rate loan rate first is going to help me pay that debt off faster overall. That's powerpay.org. That's the whole idea, highest interest rate to lowest. Pay the minimum to all the other lower interest rate ones. Attack the high interest rate one. I can go online, log in, and make a specific payment to that high interest rate loan and make sure that that debt is going down. Now, maybe I'm struggling and I'm having a really hard time getting my student loan in. And if I take a look at my loans and my minimum payment on one is $50 and my minimum payment on the other is $20. If I pay off the $50 one, I'm going to have more money working for me. I'm going to open that cash flow a little bit better and I can attack that. So I'd go after that one first. So it's the balance compared to the payment. And if, again, negative cash flow, I'd go after that smallest balance with the highest payment. The idea that I hope you're getting out of this is we attack one loan at a time. I'm not going to pay extra to all of them. I'm going to attack one loan at a time, whichever one is going to make sense for my financial situation, because that is going to help me pay that debt off faster. So if I've got 10 loans and my minimum payment is $10, I don't want to send 20 to all of them. I want to send all the extra towards that high interest rate one if I can, okay? Now, determination, this is the hard part because there are so many things that are going to come up in your life that are going to pull you away from this. I got a payment I got to make to my student loans. I borrowed the money. I got to repay it back. I got my education. So we want to make sure that we repay the federal government or your private loan. So you have to really take a look at what matters to you, right? Know where your money goes, set up a plan. Here's my income. Here are my fixed expenses, including my student loans. And here's my bottom line. I need to make sure that I'm living within the income that I have, and be realistic about what you're going to do. I've had people come in and say, okay, I'm going to pay off my student loan in 5 years. To do that, I'm not going to go out at all. And that's just not going to happen, right? You're going to go out with your friends sometimes. You're going to go out to dinner. You're going to celebrate Valentine's Day or Christmas. We're going to spend money on things in our lives. But I want you being aware of that bottom line. And that if I have a cash flow where I can pay an extra $100 to my student loans and pay it off in 5 years and just be debt free in 5 years, if I can do that, and instead of doing $4,000 a year on vacation, I do $1,000 a year, I can get that debt paid off faster. It's a short-term commitment that's going to make a long-term benefit for you and your bottom line. So be realistic about what you're going to do. Don't say I'm not going to spend any money on meals out. Say no to certain things so I can make this dream a reality, being debt-free from your student loans, and I get this weight from over my head. I don't have to focus on that anymore. I mean, that's a great feeling. But understand that there are things you're going to spend money on. Plan ahead for those things so that we can stay on track and get those debts paid off. Be flexible though. There are some months that, yeah, I am going to take my daughters to go get acai bowls, and that's going to cost me $30. If I look at my bottom line, I increase the spending in one category, I'm going to have to decrease it someplace else, or I'm going to pull money out of my savings until the savings is gone. So I'm always looking at that bottom line, knowing that if I focus on what my goals are, paying off that student loan debt, I'm going to pay that off in 5 years if it kills me, and I increase expense in one category, I'm going to look at where that money is going to come from. And what am I willing to do? Maybe I'm not willing to cut out the acai. Maybe I'm not willing to cut out Starbucks. So then I have to increase my income, right? That bottom line is based on income and expenses. If I increase an expense, I have to either A, increase income, or B, decrease expenses. However you want to do it, I don't care. But be aware of that bottom line. And when you have this goal set in place that you want to accomplish, I'm going to do everything it's going to take to make that goal a reality. And understanding that bottom line, understanding how interest accrues, understanding my minimum payments and my loan options, all of those are going to help you make those decisions. Let your goals drive your decisions, right? Start with that savings. I don't want you taking every penny out of your account to pay your student loans if it doesn't leave you with an emergency savings. That's something that people will go in like, okay, they're going to put all this money into savings, or they're going to put every single penny that they have towards their debt, and they have nothing in their emergency savings, and then they lose their job and they're going to struggle financially. So you want to start with that stable financial base. Make sure that you have at least 3 months of savings in an emergency account, that if I lose my job, or I get furloughed like the past couple of years have been, or I get laid off, I get reduced hours, whatever happens, that I can still afford to pay my rent, right? I don't want every penny going towards debt. If I'm going to be in trouble, if I lose my job in 30 days, I want to make sure I have that strong financial base. So make sure that you're looking at that first, and then focus on your goals. You can get those debts off. You're going to have more income as time goes along. Thinking about these goals and what you want to accomplish, I can put, an extra 1% towards my student loan debt payments and start paying more towards it and paying it off faster. I'm just being aware of that bottom line and making sure that I have that stable base, that I'm planning ahead for tires, that I'm planning ahead for gifts. Make sure that we have all of that taken care of before you start attacking that credit card debt or the student loan debt. All right, so know the details, some of the options, strategies to help you stick with your plan, and understanding that if you follow these recommendations, you attack that unsubsidized debt first, that you make more than the minimum, don't let the interest accrue, you can get the student loans paid off before 40 years. You can't even get it in 10 years if you follow those guidelines and pay the power pay the highest interest rate. You should be able to get this done. All right, that is all I've got for you today. Now, if you have any questions or want to talk about your specific personal plan, this is my direct phone number, my direct email address. Jevin Boyer is our other financial fitness coach. He provides the same service. We can do one-on-one, review all of this with you, and help you come up with a plan that pays off the credit card debt, pays off the student loan debt, and gets you in charge and in control of your finances. We're happy to help with that. Thank you so much for attending.
And thank you so much. I want to just really take an opportunity to just thank Carolyn and Josh, and also Jevin, who was here with us on Monday. Financial literacy is really something that our students really are craving to learn about. And we thank you for, Cal Coast Credit Union is really one of our partners here at City that can really help break it down for our students and help them to learn to live a more prosperous life by understanding what financial literacy is, and then putting to use those financial fitness tips that people like Carolyn have been able to give us. And so we really appreciate Calco showing up for us for the past couple of weeks in this series. And thank you so much. For those of you that are out there watching, I hope that you learned so much. I know it was edifying my mind, and I learned so much. So y'all take care until next time. I'm Lori Oldham in the Office of Student Affairs. Take care.